I think he's the greatest vegetarian of all times because he stood up for the helpless vegetables who were being ravaged and murdered and slaughtered by the evil, vicious bunnies without any mercy.
I think I partly attribute Ezekiel's fit of violence to violent video games.
I think he's probably should be on the poster child for all vegetarians. That's what I think.
Hello and welcome to Wendorf Radio. Today's show features the story of a young man who does what it takes to defend his vegetables. Ezekiel Grabow is the Bunny Slayer.
He makes everybody around him happy. That's what I always say. He's a hard worker, has a great sense of humor, very bright, and very dedicated to the garden.
He spends a lot of his time in the summer working in the garden.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground.
His tours of the garden are world famous. People come from China to hear him. Mankato.
Yep, Mankato.
Iowa.
My name is Ezekiel, and I'm 14 years old right now. I'll be 15 this February, the 19th to be precise. First thing we need to know about this story is about Zobo, and Zobo is our brown Labrador. He's been injured many times because of neighbor dogs, but this instance, it was a very kind of strange way that he was injured.
Jumped through the office window when Shirley Steering died, so that's how I know what year it was.
And so we brought him in, and they fixed him up, but he had to have an Elizabethan cone. And with the Elizabethan cone, he really didn't do much. I mean, he couldn't hunt animals or scare them off.
No, she didn't die that day. It was the week she died. She died 2 days later.
Anyways, the year that he had this Elizabethan cone, the rabbits moved into our garden and started eating our broccoli and our cabbage and various things. And so we started doing all these things to try and get them out.
And I bought 200 feet of fencing to try and get them out.
But the fencing wasn't small enough. They could just slip through. So we started doing all these things to try and get them out. Like we would use firecrackers, and we thought it might scare them off. My pa and I were out in the garden one day, and we saw a rabbit, and it was just like any other time. We went after it, and we kind of cornered it against a pea fence, and it started running away, but I threw a rock, and normally I miss, but I hit him.
Seems kind of out of character for Ezekiel to be killing a bunny, because he is kind of a kind, gentle person.
Another thing, he's really not very good at throwing things, to be honest.
I give part of my credit for hitting the rabbit to my brother Ajra, who had recently been teaching me like football, and he told me that you always throw ahead of a person if they're running, so it actually makes it to them. I kind of used that in a little corner of my brain. It only broke its spine, and so I had to kill it with a stick that I had. I hit it, and I hit it several times. And it was really brutal, I mean, when I think about it again, but I also thought that it was necessary, at least in my brain. I mean, I wanted to make sure that it was dead and not still alive. And of course, I did feel bad, and like, oh my goodness, I just kind of beat that rabbit to death. I mean, I can't say that it was the most humane thing ever, but it kind of had to be done, too. I mean, I can't say that I'm sorry that I did it. I would do it again. I don't condone cruelty towards animals. I mean, like, doing it without a reason just to be cruel and mean is just wrong in my brain. I wouldn't torture a rabbit or anything like that. But with a reason, like, oh, they're in the garden, they're in our yard, we don't want them to eat our garden. It's like with wars. Like, say, like, the garden is like the country, and a different country, like the terrorists or whatever you want to say, they attack the country, and so the people defend the country, and lives are lost in that process. But it's kind of the goal. It's to defend what you have, to defend what you've earned, what you work for, and America itself, its people and their families and their friends and all the people back home. I know that the Bible says that there's just wars, like wars that have purpose, wars that have reason. Like World War II, with the Holocaust happened, Adolf Hitler attacking other countries. He was killing all these people. He was a terrible person. Someone had to stop him. I mean, also, you can't just let someone take what they want and be greedy with land. And some of those situations, that's just because of sin. I mean, some of those problems, they can't be fixed. Wars really can't be stopped. Poor people being poor and hungry, that, I mean, you can contribute to help, but there will always be at least one poor person left, because the Bible says that there will always be poor people and there will always be rich people. There will always be problems. And we set it outside our garden. And so then the rabbits didn't bother us anymore. They moved out.
And I was very, very proud of him that I was also stunned. I mean, when we were trying to scare the bunny out of the gardens was what we were doing. And he threw the rock at him. I mean, he'd done it before. But this time, boom, and it was back broken. And I said, you got to kill it now, because it's just going to suffer. Broken-backed bunny. So I was very proud of him. But I was kind of speechless when it hit it. And the bunny stopped. And that was it. And he couldn't move. So, I don't think we had a funeral though.